Welcome back for another video. Today we're going to do a replacement basket on one of the SP4s. A couple of months back I had a major malfunction with one of the power amps, the CS3000, and it ended up getting the SP4s that I had hooked up to it. I don't know exactly what had happened, just had the power amp on, I was at low volume, started to smell electric smoke, and then an instant squeal. Tried to get everything shut off, you know how that works, it just wasn't quite fast enough, and it ended up actually damaging all four speakers in the SP4s. Just one of those things. I had the DDT in place and whatever, so however that amp shorted out, it ended up getting all the speakers. So I'm going to show you how to do a replacement. If you have Black Widow speakers, Peavey makes it real simple. In order to swap out the baskets, you don't have to replace the entire speaker as far as magnet and basket. It's real simple to do. We're going to get into it, so let's get on with the video. Cool box. And they're showing you a simple diagram here on the box as to how this is going to go. Now these magnets are really heavy. This basket, that's probably about less than 10 pounds, I would think. So let's open this up and see what's in here. Okay, they're going to send us an instruction manual. Shows what we need to be doing. Let me get that turned upright for us. Okay. And this is what we have here. Now these things are really durable, and again, I don't know exactly what happened to the power amp, but it was catastrophic. Let's open this package up here. Now again, if it's a Black Widow speaker, they make these replacement baskets. This was $119, I believe. If you had to buy the magnet and everything, it was just under $160. These things are Kevlar. Now this is the newer style. The old style used to have a piece of foam laying inside the circle. So if you have one of the older Black Widows and it's making sound, you can see as you push on this, the speaker is actually pushing back against what's going to be the magnet, and I'll show you here in a second. And what happened to this particular malfunction is this coating inside right here ended up bubbling, so that the magnet that goes on here has such a close tolerance that as it was trying to make music through it, you could hear it scratching against the side of the magnet. Now this thing here is absolutely perfect. When I show you the one we're going to replace, you're going to see some bubbles on this in here. And there was no way to repair it. It was just easier to get a new basket and put it in there because I like the sound system sounding good. Okay, let's move to the next step. Now, in order to determine which replacement basket you need, locate the sticker on the speaker itself, and that is the information there on the back that you're going to have in order to figure out which replacement basket you need. And if you have questions, you can call Peavey and they'll walk you through it. But that's the look at the back of the speaker there. This is an SP4. The next thing we're going to do is remove the screws on the grill cover here. And we don't want to damage anything. Unfortunately, these speakers are almost brand new. I hate it that I have to even work on these, but sometimes things happen beyond your control. Alright, let's get a driver and take those out of there. Now, in a situation like this, I always grab a small cup or something to put all these different screws in. We are going to take care here and try not to scratch this thing up. Now, these grills can sometimes be a little tricky to get off the wood frame here. So what I do is I take a flat screwdriver and get right down here on the bottom corner and try to pull that out away from us. If we can get it to move a little bit, then we have enough room, we can get our fingers in there and start getting this grill to loosen up around the side of it. Like I said, we don't want to scratch anything up here. Alright, and there's the grill. Again, these speakers are extremely heavy, so it's easier just to leave it set where it's at and get it loose from there. So this is the comb we're going to replace. I'm going to bring you up and let you see if you can hear that. If you press on it like this, you can actually hear that scratching on the side. The bottom one's good and quiet. The top one, I can hear something scratching in there. So let's get a listen to it. Bring you up really close. And you can hear it. And there should be no sound whatsoever as you push on this basket. And that's what tells me that this glue is in there. So let's get it back out and take a look at it. The next thing we're going to do is take out these series of bolts that they have holding the speaker in. I'm going to leave a top one and a bottom one because this thing is heavy and the wire that is attached behind the speaker is extremely short, so I want to be able to control it once we actually get the speaker out, so we can see first of all how it's plugged up, and we're going to either mark it or separate the wires to where we can put the next speaker right back in. I will show you here on the new speaker here. They are marked black and red, so ground and hot, okay? And these are just push pins. You push those down, slide your wire in, and then connect it. We do not want to get these crossed when we replace the basket because your speaker won't work properly. Now these screws do take one of these six-sided, it's a T20 bit. If you can see that little guy, that's pretty small. But you will need that to actually get your speaker out of there. Like I said, you will need a cup. There's a considerable amount of screws here. You don't want to get all that stuff misplaced. Just loosen it up a little bit. And again, these things are heavy, so prepare yourself. Now I'm just going to keep pressure against the bottom of it so I can get that top screw loose. Then I'm going to let it lean back to me, if you can see that. I know I'm kind of right in your way. But now I've got my fingers underneath it, and I'm just going to lean it back. And again, those cables that they have attached is extremely short. Okay. And in this situation, the blue is ground and the yellow is positive. Alright, and there's the inside of the cabinet. Like I said, now here's our magnet, and again, now there's 50-60 pounds here. These things are heavy, and the 18-inch speakers is even heavier than this. Okay, so get a good look at the back of it. These are the screws that holds the magnet on, and we're going to set this down flat and drag that off there. So that was the inside of the cabinet, and again, that's all the slack I had in that cable in order to get that heavy speaker out of there. So when you're setting yours out, be extremely careful. You don't want to rip any of this stuff loose that's inside the cabinet. It's real easy to cause more problems than you're fixing here. Okay? Let's take a look at the speaker now. Now what we're going to do, get you turned down there a little bit, is we're going to simply turn this upside down. We're going to be real careful. We don't want to poke any holes or anything like that. And again, these are heavy. So if you set that down on something, I guarantee you, you'll have a hole in your paper. Just real easy. Okay? Now we're going to remove these through 3 bolts, take the speaker off, or magnet off. I have a 1/4 inch drive ratchet and a 7/16 socket. Now, when you get this close to this magnet, again, these are extremely powerful, so watch your fingers. If you get it in between here, you can smash them. It's going to draw this thing right down on top of it, and you have to be careful. And again, I'll tell you, it's nice that Peavey has made these to where you can do a field replacement on them. If we were actually having a show going on or playing music, this would take about 15 or 20 minutes and you can be right back up and running. Specifically if you're DJing or something like that, because once one of these starts giving you a problem, starts rattling inside this magnet here, it is extremely noticeable in the overall sound of your PA system, and more so at low volumes. Okay, let's drop this in our cup. Like I said, this being a strong magnet, it's actually a decent job to actually pull these bolts up out of here. Okay, so now we have them all loose. We're simply going to put our thumbs on the basket case and push down and pull up on the magnet, and there we go. Okay, and again, the old style used to keep foam in here to protect. This is a windscreen, and they had foam in that in order to keep dust and things from building up inside the speaker itself, which kind of created problems because over time that foam would deteriorate. They have fixed that, so the newer speakers doesn't have that foam in there. Alright guys, what we're looking at here is the damaged speaker. I'm going to try to get this up where you can see it. If you can see right here, let me see, there's bubble right along this area in between the copper coating and the epoxy here. And as that's sliding inside that tolerance of that magnet, you can see the bubbles there. That's what's making the speaker scratch. See, I can push here and you hear nothing. If I set this down inside this magnet, get this magnet up here for you. And that's what you hear. That's the distortion. You can hear it scratching. And this is what you should hear as I'm pushing on this cone. It's nothing. Okay? So that's our culprit right there. The bubbles inside that tape. And again, whatever happened to the power amp, I'm assuming it sent negative current back through the system and started heating this tape up and caused those bubbles in there. So you'll never get a good sound out of that, even though there's obviously nothing wrong with, and again, these are almost new. I haven't even stretched these speakers out yet. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Okay? Now, after you've determined your problem, and we know that cone is bad, the next thing we're going to do is that's our tolerance that cone has to slide in, and that's where we're getting the scratching, because it's so close right there that tape being bubbled up is actually working against the magnet. So we're going to clean that groove out exceptionally well, make sure there's no debris in there, then we'll put our new cone on and we're done. And what I have here is I put a little bit of rubbing alcohol inside the cap of this. I've got myself a hobby brush, just simply a small paintbrush, and I've also got myself a little bit thicker than business card piece of cardboard here. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean the inside of the groove of this Now, there is some suggestions out there to use tape to do this. I wouldn't do that. If you get the glue from the tape stuck inside this, on the steel here, it will rub against this and make it sound like the speaker's bad. So again, rubbing alcohol, small brush, and a piece of cardboard, and we should be able to clean anything that's inside that groove right there, because it is a close tolerance. That cardboard just does want to fit down in here. And I can feel it's got some rough stuff in there, so we're going to clean it up, okay? Give you a better view of that. The cardboard stuck inside the groove, and that's where the speaker cone is riding, and that's where you're getting the disturbance of the sound. Let's clean that up, and then we'll be ready to go back for the install. The reason I'm using a plastic brush here too is because, again, if it's metal and you start getting down in here close, this thing's going to want to hang up for you. I'm going to make sure, absolutely sure, and I'm going to take and run just a little bit of this alcohol on this cardboard so I can slide it around through the edge of that. And make sure that we can actually get it clean. Yeah, I see a little bit of stuff on there. Let's give it just a little bit more and actually slide it around the bottom. This is where all the sound is generated. So again, this being 100% clean will be in your benefit. Okay. Now I am looking down inside the groove here and making sure that we don't have any kind of debris in that, and I think we're ready to go back for an installation. Now we're going to make sure this dries out 100% before we stick our new cone on here, so give this some time, and again, make absolutely sure you have no debris left inside this magnet here. Okay? Now we've cleaned the inside of the magnet, and again, I've allowed it to dry. That's the most important part, because we're going to make speaker to magnet, and I always lay mine down flat like this. Make sure there's nothing on the bottom of it. And then, I'm not worried about my bolt holes right now. We'll line that up after we actually get it on the cone on the magnet. And I try to see just as close as I can, and then ease that down in there. And again, now these things are heavy, so I slide it over and I grab it with my thumbs, keep my thumbs locked underneath the frame, and I'm going to flip it upside down. Set it down easy, and then just simply line up my bolt holes. And I'm being gentle here. I don't want to, because again of the weight, I don't want to mess up the cone or anything like that. Then once you get it lined up, we'll drop our 3 bolts in there and we're going to be good to go. I think that should be it. Now getting these bolts back in there, because again this magnet's so powerful Have to be really careful here. Don't get anything cross-threaded. These should go in finger tight once you get them set down in there, until you're comfortable to know that you've got it started straight. See how it's pulling that bolt sideways. So be careful here. Just turn it until it starts to start. Okay. And we will do, let's see, all three of these girls and get them put in there where we need them. Okay. Now, when you slide your magnet on, it has no particular order to go in as far as the way this thing bolts back up. It's all just line it up and make sure, again, you don't get these bolts cross-threaded, and then tighten her down. Okay. All right, and again, I will run these down just as far as I can finger tight, and that way I know I haven't cross-threaded anything. And that'll allow us, because again, this steel bolt going in against this powerful magnet, that this can be a job to actually get this lined up. Just take your time, kind of make sure you're in the center of everything. Now, you don't have to over tighten these, but make sure they're snug. I will take them down and make sure they're all semi-tight first, and then just give them a little bit more. We don't want that thing vibrating in the cabinet. Okay. Now, everything's back on. We're going to flip this girl up. Perfect. Bring it over. Not a sound. That's what we was looking for. Again, that cone, give you a little example there, is riding this cone against our magnet. And if this paper has any type of swelling or missing or anything like that, that's what makes your speaker scratchy. Okay, can you see those bubbles in there? This is the one we've replaced, and that's why it's bad. And again, it's unfortunate because that thing has never been played at full volume. These speakers are capable, these SP4s are capable of 2,000 watts, and I bet they've never had 500 watts put in them. So that's still a brand new basket. But with that paper being, I guess the glue let go from whatever power the amplifier sent to it, and it just bubbled that tape up. Okay, so we got her fixed now though. Let's get it installed. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go back through our cup here now and get these screws out that's ready for the to hold the speaker up for us. Get at least 3 of them out, or 4. And again, this is tricky when you're doing this by yourself, because we have to try to get our cables reconnected and then get this thing set up here where we can get a screw started on it. Just take your time. And again, this is really close here. They don't have a lot of extra cable for you to work with, so don't do more damage than you want to fix here. I always pull back against the wires to make sure that they did get a good grab on them. Okay. Now while I got it leaned back and I can see, get me a hole, one of these screws started in the hole here. And don't turn loose of this thing until you've got at least 2 of them in, so you know you're not going to lose it out on the floor. Now obviously if you had the cabinet laying down on its back, this would be a little easier for you. But we're going to manage just the way she sets. Okay. Now, because again these speakers are so heavy, I'm going to start at the bottom here, and I'm going to lift up against it and run this first screw in. That way it seats it, and everything else should be pretty close for us. Now, I'm going to do this just like when I'm changing a tire. I'm going to go from top to bottom in a crisscross pattern until I get these tightened up. So everything is centered for me, and we want these pretty snug. We don't want, again, when we get these things up to power, you don't want anything rattling here. Okay? Get the rest of our screws out. Finger tight until you know that you've got nothing's cross-threaded. All right. And you got to watch these little drills because they've got a lot of torque to them. And like I said, you can, if you slip off this bolt and poke a hole through your paper in your cabinet here, take it back out. Go ahead and order you another basket. Snug these up a little bit. Alright, now we can run in our crisscross pattern. Catch this guy. Turn that drill down just a little bit. And again, they don't have to be over tight, but just make sure they're snugged in there to where we don't get any kind of rattle. And anytime you're tightening anything in a circle like this, always back and forth after you kind of get it snugged up to where everything's going to be in its final spot. Just as a matter of fact, it's exactly how you tune a drum head. Okay, now let's see what we've got here. Oh, that's beautiful. Can't be perfect. Alright, we'll get the grill back on it and see how it sounds. Now, just simply replace our screws. Okay, gonna need some glasses. Go ahead and get this guy in here. And again, when you're tightening screws up like this, if you're using a battery operated drill, be careful. You don't want to, you've paid a lot of money for these, you don't want to get them all scratched up. Alright, there we have it. I'll get it tightened up. We're going to be in business. Like I said, we're fortunate that Peavey has made this where you can do this out in the field if you had to. They're 18s. If it's a Black Widow speaker, they make a replacement basket for it. So, and they're all going to be primarily the same as far as procedure. Okay, let's get this girl tightened up. These don't have to be over tight. Specifically, again, if you're using one of these drills, be careful here. Perfect. So there we have it, guys. Again, this is a 15-08, 15-inch diameter, 8 ohm. That's what that represents. And this is the Black Widow cone. And we have replaced the basket on it. Take your time. You can work right through that. And this really is no big deal. After you've done one or two of these, again, 15 minutes or so, you're going to be back playing music. Okay? I hope this has been helpful for you in some way, and I appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next video.